We're out here in Italy, and because I'm standing in front of this, yes, that means we are in fact at the Pagani Museum and Factory. I'm about to go on a factory tour, which I won't be able to film, unfortunately, but before that, of course, we can go in and check out some of the cool cars, like this Zonda F they have here outside. So let's step inside the Pagani showroom and see what interesting vehicles they have for us to take a look at. And here we officially enter the Pagani Museum. Only a handful of cars in here, but what amazing examples they are. Starting right here with the Zonda Lenona. This is the second company prototype built when they were first making the Zonda C12 line. So they have that here, of course, to honor basically the founding act of the company as they started making these incredible hypercars. Moving into what soon followed, the Zonda F, one of the best iterations of the original Zonda generation. I believe only 25 coupes and 25 roadsters were made. Here we see a coupe example in this phenomenal orange and black two-tone spec. One of the best ways to spec an F in my mind. Just very classy. Orange brake calipers as well. Amazing. That later evolved into the additional variants that we got later on in the Zonda's life, which this one here is also one of my favorites, one of the most incredible. It's the Cinque, specifically the Roadster. One of only 5 examples, basically combining some of the enhanced powertrain elements of the later Zonda R models with what the Zonda F road cars evolved into. And an amazing spec here again with the exposed carbon, the red accents over the sort of pearlescent white two-tone paint job. The dramatic central air scoop feeding that mid-mounted Mercedes V12 engine, as well as these, I always love these really dramatic carbon scoops that just pop out of the fenders here like that. Horacio Pagani signature on the side. These sport center lock wheels with the red lining around the lips of them. Just so amazing. And then here is one I didn't even know existed. I first thought this was a Zonda Revolution, but as you can see, it's a Roadster. And it has the wheel coverings like the HP Barchetta we saw out in the main room. So this is a one of one right here. This is a Zonda HP Revo Roadster. So basically it combines that $17 million HP Barchetta that we saw with the Zonda R Revolution, the evolution of the original Zonda R, creating basically an open top, track only monster. Not even just open top, but like straight up speedster. You see no real wind or no real roof at all. Just the chop top design here with the windshield sliced. And it's really interesting how the wing mirrors essentially sit as one of the taller points of the car, only beaten by the roll hoops and that central air scoop again that bleeds into this shark fin, moving its way to the massive rear aero element. And I mean, Pagani are masters of this in terms of just designing complete drama. I don't know, I'm speechless for how these things look. I mean, just look at how insane everything is with the exposed engine bay and all the suspension linkage and everything you can see with the exhaust pipes coming through to that central cluster that all the Pagani models are known for. The insane diffuser and all the motorsports inspired aero elements like these additional flicks and canards and even this little inner winglet on the end plate here with the adjustable wing itself and this unique colorway on this example with the bare carbon. These are just unreal. Satin blue wheels, all these additional vanes and carbon fiber elements here down at the bottom, and those tricolor canards there at the front that look insanely dramatic as well. Let's take a quick look at the interior. Blue accents and satin blue finishes on the interior vents and center console. I believe this is said to be Horacio's own personal car here that, you know, self-commissioned for the man himself. Wild. Moving on past the Zonda, then, of course, we get to the Huayra. Not the original, of course, but this is the later BC Roadster. So the open-top version of the slightly more powerful Huayra model that first came out after the original. BC standing for the initials of Pagani's first customer back when they started delivering customer vehicles. And of course, this is incredibly rare, one of just 40 in the Roadster configurations. I think they made 20 BC coupes, but then they bumped it up a bit. They doubled it really for the Roadster model. And then moving into this, an even more exclusive iteration of the Huayra with even more dramatic styling and aerodynamics in every sense of the word. This is the Huayra Imola, of course, named after the iconic Italian circuit. You have an even more intense, high-performance, track-oriented version of the Huayra. And not quite the Huayra R, of course, which would come later, but getting there in terms of just the dramatic effect of the bodywork, the aero, the front splitter, the rear aero, the pronounced fenders and intakes, all these additional louvers and cuts and veins that they put in here before and after the wheel, extending from the front wheel arch as well here, of course, with the gull wing doors in their upright position. That is just so damn cool. I saw one of just 8 of the Imola Roadsters at Moda Miami earlier this year. So here's its brother, the Imola Coupe. Just incredible to see that. And also in like a satin silver. The whole thing almost looks like it's brushed aluminum, or like the pieces you would find on interiors. Speaking of which, of course, Pagani are always known for their dramatically overstyled and mechanical looking interiors with all the different switch gears and toggles and the exposed gear linkage there in the center. And the seats, a mix of Alcantara and leather, as well as the rest of the center interior area behind it. Imola embroidered there on the headrest, of course. And I also just love these leather straps that they put on that are, of course, functionally not necessary, but aesthetically give it that exceptional little extra touch of sort of artistic beauty when you have the Pagani logo itself on the buckle of that Italian leather strap to keep the rear compartment snapped into place. And you see it here also on the front compartment. Amazing. Here's the back of that BC Roadster. You can see, of course, the additional aero that was added to the BC model in the form of this fixed wing, adding to the already existing active flaps that the Huayra innovated front and back of its design here. You can see the rear examples, and then of course on the Imola they still have them here, the front flaps here that would pop up dynamically to be used as an air brake or alternate left and right to add more grip to whatever side of the car needed it when going through high-speed corners. Looks like, wow, the front of that Zonda Revo Roadster, Revo Barchetta, that is insane with the colorway thrown on top of the carbon fiber bodywork. Man, that is just, I'm like speechless with this car. That is such a wild combination of everything they threw at the Zonda line. You get the Barchetta Speedster, the increased power from the R, or the Revolution to be specific. Wow, just insane. Here's the back of the Cinque Roadster. And again, the Zonda F. I mean, that is just classic, right? I love the Cinque, don't get me wrong. Specifically the coupe. I'm not always into the Roadsters. I think the coupes are just a little bit more classy and put together aesthetically. I think the F is just, that's the quintessential Pagani in my mind. When I think of the brand, this is what I think of. And then again, the La Nonna prototype here. And then looks like we have an original Huayra here. This is the original iteration, of course, when it first debuted to replace the Zonda line. This is what the world got, still retaining, of course, the V12 engine from Mercedes-AMG, but going in favor of a dual clutch for the Huayra line. There were no manuals, at least not until later, when they commissioned some special projects. I mean, now Pagani is on the Utopia, of course, their third hypercar in their overall lineage. But as we know, they are still commissioning special examples of both the Zonda and the Huayra to this day. Most recently, the Huayra Epitome was the name of a one-of-one Huayra built with a manual transmission, basically from the Utopia, I believe. So no Utopias here in the museum yet. I mean, that line is just now coming out and reaching some special editions as well. But we have the previous two lines and some incredible examples of that out front here in the Pagani Museum. Quick fun fact that I was just learning about this Zonda La Nonna, the original prototype. First of all, La Nonna is Italian for grandma, so paying tribute to, of course, the fact that this car allowed for continuous development into not just the Zonda lineage, but so much of what Pagani has become today. It is seen as sort of the forebear to everything that they've developed since the original Zonda C12 came out in the late 90s. But also this particular example here that's been preserved for history at the museum has over 550,000 kilometers on its odometer. Of course, all attributed, or at least primarily attributed, to testing purposes for the brand. But regardless, that's gotta be one of the most insane odometer readings of any hypercar or vehicle of this nature. I mean, could you imagine seeing a car like this with even half of that miles? It would be just unheard of. Most of these are art pieces that really don't get driven around too much or taken to a track or anything like that. But this one has just really racked up the miles due to Pagani's years of testing. And that is just incredible to see it here. This is the Zonda HP Barghetta, a one-of-3 model commissioned by Horacio Pagani himself to celebrate his 60th birthday, hence his initials in the name of the car. This is one of the ultimate versions of the Zonda, believed to cost around $17.5 million when it was commissioned new. Again, it's only one of 3, and I believe the one we're looking at right here is Horacio's personal car, with the other 2 being customer-delivered vehicles around the world. And you can see it's basically a speedster interpretation of the Zonda. No actual roof of any sort, just a massive central air scoop there feeding that V12 engine in the back, and some incredibly dramatic bodywork and aero throughout the car, including those rear wheel covers and the wing mirrors that are mounted just at the top of the pillars where it meets the cut windshield with sort of that chop top speedster design. Absolutely insane build. And that concludes our visit here at the Pagani Factory Tour and Museum. What an incredible place with a small selection of cars from their Zonda lineage through the Huayra, and we even got to see some of the Utopias being made in the factory tour, which was amazing. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that quick look at just the museum. Like and subscribe for more content. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time.